Approximately 7.8 million years ago, the world as our early hominin ancestors knew it was changing. Dense forests, once the dominant backdrop of their lives, began to fade, giving space to open grasslands dotted with trees. Today we explore how this shift from woodland to savanna played a crucial role in shaping the course of human evolution, in how our ancestors moved, how they lived, and how they survived. To understand the savanna's impact, we must first imagine the world before. Deep forests, thick canopies, abundant foliage. Primates were arboreal, living mostly in trees. Their food sources, fruits, leaves, insects. Predation came from above: snakes, leopards, large cats. Movement was largely by climbing, swinging, leaping. But over time, climate changes, cooler, drier spells, reduced rainfall. Forests began to fragment, gaps appeared. Tree density dropped. These changes exposed hominins to environments that were more open, more exposed, and far more challenging. How do scientists know this happened? One powerful line of evidence comes from fossil soils, paleosols. By studying the chemical fingerprints in soils, especially carbon isotopes, researchers can estimate how much tree cover existed in the past. Grasses, especially tropical grasses, use different photosynthetic pathways, C4, than trees and shrubs, C3, and those differences leave distinct traces. Research in East Africa, for example, shows that as far back as 7.4 million years ago, many sites already were dominated by habitats with less than 40% woody cover, wooded grasslands or open savannas. Also, fossils of early hominins and apes that are our close relatives are found in these more open habitats. So the shift wasn't sudden, it was gradual but constant. Once the hominins' world began to include the savanna, many new challenges appeared. Predators. Open ground meant less cover. Threats from large carnivores increased. Without thick canopy and hidden tree limbs, hominins were more exposed. Exposure to elements, sun, heat, wind, shade became precious. Temperatures rose during the day. Nights might be cooler. Shelter had to be found or built. Finding water and food. With dryness, water sources became scarce and seasonal. Food sources shifted. Fewer forest fruits, more grasses, seeds, tubers. New kinds of edible plants and small animals adapted to grassland. Movement. Traversing open land over longer distances meant energy costs. Sometimes running became more important. Standing upright, bipedalism, offered advantages. Seeing over tall grass, reducing sun exposure on body surfaces, freeing hands for carrying, foraging. Shelter and tools. With fewer trees, hominins needed other strategies for shelter. Possibly caves, rock overhangs, or constructing simple shelters. Tools might begin to play a larger role, both in gathering food and in defense. In response to these pressures, evolutionary changes began to emerge among hominins. Bipedalism. Walking upright is one of the key adaptations. It allows efficient travel across open land, better visibility over grasses, conserving energy compared to quadrupedal movement through patchy terrain. Body proportions. Changes in limb lengths and pelvic structure to support upright walking. Skeletal adaptations for balance, for walking long distances. Dietary changes. As fruits and leafy material became less available in open areas, hominins may have supplemented diets with grasses, roots, tubers, and small animals. Dental wear and jaw morphology adapt. Social behavior and group living. Living in open savanna likely increased risks from predators. Being in groups improves safety. Also cooperation in gathering, moving between habitat patches, sharing water sources. Tool use beginnings. Though clear stone tools are known later, precursors, using rocks, sticks, perhaps cutting or scraping tools, could have started aiding tasks like digging for tubers or scavenging meat. What fossil evidence supports these ideas? Let's look at a few case studies: savannas and the earliest hominins. Geological studies show that many hominin fossils come from sites that were once savanna or wooded grassland environments. Ardipithecus ramidus, 4.4 million years ago. Initially thought to live in forested patches, but isotopic evidence suggests its habitat included significant grassy components too, indicating time in more open environments. This challenges the idea that early hominins stayed solely in forests. Australopithecus species and others, several million years later, show more clear-cut adaptations for walking upright, dealing with open landscapes, a reduced reliance on forested niches, anatomical evidence in the pelvis, legs, feet that enable long-distance travel. Fossil soils show that by 4 to 6 million years ago, open habitats were common in East Africa. So what does this all mean for us millions of years later? The shift from forest to savanna was not just a change in scenery, it was one of the crucibles of human evolution. It spurred adaptations in anatomy, behavior, diet, and social structure. Bipedalism, tool use, social living. These set foundations for later evolutionary leaps. Larger brains, more complex tools, wider migration. Understanding this period helps explain how and why humans today are adapted to varied environments. The legacy of adapting to open, exposed landscapes remains in our physiology, our endurance, even our ability to exploit a wide range of habitats. It reminds us that environmental change has always been a driver of evolution, forcing adaptation, challenging survival, but also opening up new possibilities. 7.8 million years ago, as forests receded and savannas spread, early hominins stood at a crossroads. The world was changing, and survival meant change too. Those who adapted, walked upright, gathered, and cooperated would set the stage for the lineage that eventually became us. Thank you for joining this journey deep into prehistory. If you enjoyed exploring this pivotal chapter in human origins, subscribe for more stories from our ancient past.